This is the Roaring Girl coming to you live nationwide from Netroots Nation 16. And I'm just stopping in front of the Sierra Club table, and I'm going to talk to the lone person sitting here who looks very, very scared right now. Hi.
Hi, my name's Christine.
Hi, Christine. Is this your first Netroots Nation?
It is, yes.
Awesome. Where are you from, and how long have you been involved with the Sierra Club?
So I'm from Miami, Florida, living here in St. Louis. I'm getting my master's at WashU, and so I'm working with Sierra Club for my program, but also helping them change how things are run today around like clean energy and everything, and environmental justice.
Was this something that you got involved in while you were living in Miami? Because we all know how wonderful the weather is down there and everything.
You know what? It's not something I was involved in Miami, but it makes a lot of sense now because if you think about it, Florida will be underwater soon because of climate change.
Really? I thought Rick Scott said that was like,
Yeah, Rick Scott's not a scientist, so obviously he doesn't have the info, but yeah, it's a really important issue, especially for marginalized communities of color. It hits our communities worse, so it's really important to urge people to change things, urge the government to change things.
So when you're finished at WashU, what do you want to be when you grow up?
So I'm studying to be a social worker. Actually, I'm specializing in sexual health, and I want to do community education around gender and orientation. So kind of changing how we look at gender, and changing the gender binary because it's very harmful for a lot of people. That's what I want to do.
So being from New York, I'm kind of highly impressed with the gender-neutral bathrooms here at the convention center because I know Javits, they'd be like going, That's the other thing that gets me, which nobody thinks about. Everybody's upset about trans women, but nobody says a word about trans men.
I know. But that's just the nature of the debate. It's not rational. It's not logical. It's just fear-based, and it's kind of value-based. But you're right. When you actually pull apart the issues, it's
kind of dumb.
It's dumb, yeah. Because people, even before this, all these bills and everything, people could still dress up and like harass others in the bathroom, and it's always been illegal. But trans.
But now it's become a matter where I'm going to change the color pattern on this. I don't have to keep going back and forth. But it's like now it's sort of like there was a case of an autistic young man who was in the bathroom with his mother waiting for her, and somebody started screaming at the boy for being in there.
Oh my gosh!
Somebody got upset because a woman had her infant son in there and was shaking. It's like, give me a fucking. It's like, what?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
What it does, it gives leaves for in my opinion, perverts to do their thing because they can
It's true, and really perverts and really hateful people are the only ones kind of using this as an excuse to really do harm.
And sadly, notice they all profess to be Christians.
Yeah, it's sad, and really I do a lot of stuff around this issue for school. I research it a lot, and there have been no cases or reports of anyone who's trans, abusing anyone, molesting anyone in any bathrooms ever in the United States.
I think it's more of a case of people of somebody who would do that, taking advantage of that.
Of course.
I think that's what underlying the subconscious concern is, because they're not really talking about trans women or trans men. They're talking about men who will use the transing as an excuse to harass.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, from their argument, that's what they think trans is. They don't understand trans as this is my legitimate identity and who I am. I understand,
but for them it is sort of like a valid fear.
Oh yeah, for sure. I get it. I think it's still no matter if you're trans or cis or straight or gay, it's still.
I don't like it's like I don't like that labeling sort of thing because it's like if you're cis, you're heterosexual.
It's
so you
all
have to
about
make your choice.
policing, regardless. It's
Yeah.
all about this environment of policing.
It's Orwell's
us
Junior
and-
Anti-Sex League without the red sash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just let people use the bathroom. Why do we need labels?
It's
it.
sort of like in New York right now. There's a big controversy over the fact that some of the public pools in the Hasidic communities have like a special hour set aside for the women to swim, and there's been this big outcry because even if you're trans, you're still considered male for that purpose because you still have the genitalia for that purpose.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people getting upset because they don't understand the modesty concept there. Mm-hmm. And like, you're using public, but let them get a private pool. But no, this is a set-aside thing. They probably pay for it so they can go swimming. And it's sort of like you are now telling people whose religious purviews, or even if they don't want to, women who don't, or even Muslim women who don't want it, who won't swim with men,
Right.
they have to forego their...
It's very spiritually damaging to them.
It is. I mean, I can't wait for somebody to decide that trans men are allowed to use the women's mikveh, or trans women rather, who haven't gone through the reassignment surgery.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be a process.
It's a very dicey situation when you come into these concepts of modesty, and they're legitimate concepts. It's like,
Yeah, and it has, I'm assuming where you're coming from, but different values have different kind of meaning in other cultures, and so modesty,
it's sort of like in the Hasidic Jewish community. Right. I mean, if you walk into a business where men and I live in New York City, so when I walk into B&H Photo, for example, the cashiers actually have a little thing between the men and the women. So simply because the recognition of human nature being what it is. If you are a male and you have your, one of the women working in the office come in to talk with you, your door stays open. It's just that concept of modesty. That, behind closed doors you don't know, but if it's open there can be no rumor or gossip or anything. And it's about respecting both genders, both men and women. And to an extent, the secularized don't understand that. They think it's stupid and silly. Well, why should you not? Well, because shit does happen behind closed doors. And then it's a he said, she said.
Right, of course.
And it gets into that, again, it also gets into that sort of thing. And I also think it becomes a he said, she said with the issue of which bathroom are you going to use. I actually played a male character like decades ago when I was working, when I was living back in California and working the original... I worked the original Renaissance fairs and their Dickens Christmas fair, and I decided to play a male character. And my dilemma was, which bathroom do I use?
Wow, yeah.
Thank God for the porta potties.
That's funny, but it's real.
But I understand that. But I was doing. But it was like, this is a real issue.
Yeah.
This is, and that was like in the 70s. I was like, 70s, late 70s, 80s. I don't remember. No, the 80s. And so it can be an issue. So. And I'm going to make a wide tie back into the Sierra Club, but I also think the behavior patterns shown by the people that are freaking out over the idea that not everybody is born into the gender they identify with. It's the same thing, I think, environmentally, because the concept of dominion has been so misconstrued over the ages. It's just because it says you take dominion over it, but it doesn't mean you act like a bastard tyrant over it,
Right.
If you take dominion over something, you're also expected to care for it.
Yeah.
So I think that, because growing up in California, the Sierra Club's very big out there and all that, And, so it's fascinating watching how the organization has progressed from, what I remember in the 60s to becoming even more vocal and more national than it was in the beginning.
And it still has a lot of progress to do.
Yeah.
Its history is not, 100% positive or good or inclusive.
Well,
and
you
but
know-
the thing is about knowing where your flaws are and making steps to kind of change it and
Yeah.
to be more inclusive and more accepting.
By the way.
Thanks. It's new. It's
I
a
know.
new
I
one.
can tell. I can tell it's out that bright, fresh ink on it. Just wait a little while, and then it'll start looking like that
Wonky.
that hawk's face looks like an owl now.
That's funny.
So yeah. Hi, Sierra Club, Emily. I'm Kelly from Netroots Radio. You want to sit down and just talk about whatever?
Sure.
I've been talking with
Christine.
Christine about what she wants to be when she grows up. So, what do you want to be when you grow up, Emily from Sierra Club?
What do I want to be when I grow up?
What do you want to be?
Oh gosh. I kind of see that as maybe like a more holistic answer. Like I have goals that I want to accomplish as someone working for a more just world. I also have, personal goals and how I want to see that manifested in my own life with, a family and surrounding myself by friends in a community that means a lot to me.
Well, how long have you been involved with the Sierra Club, and what drew you to it?
I have worked with the Sierra Club for about 4 years now. I'm based in Chicago, but I've done a lot of work here in St. Louis. So that's why I was so excited that Netroots would be based in St. Louis this year. I was drawn to work for Sierra Club because I actually grew up in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Climate and environmental issues have always been very important to me. And, especially over time, I've been focused a lot on social justice issues, and I was really excited, particularly in the past few years that Sierra Club has really more holistically broadened its approach to creating a healthy world for all to
Working more taking the taking what's been learned by working like environmentally and bringing that those environmental lessons into communities.
Yes, and I was incredibly proud to see our organization taking a really strong stand and really vocally standing with the Black Lives Matter movement. We aren't just approaching making statements on that. We're really mobilizing our members and our activists to be engaged, stand with partners in the Black Lives Matter.
Well, yeah, there's a huge environmental issue in those communities when you consider the poisoning of not just the people of Flint, Michigan, but a lot of other cities around the nation.
Yeah.
That it just doesn't become like parks and open space and so it's
In St. Louis, there's awful landfills filled with nuclear waste. That's a huge problem. That's giving people cancer and really awful conditions, and no one is really talking about it. And this happens all over.
There's the Agent Orange issue on the reservations too. That the government's denying that. No, we never did that. So there's a lot of environmental issues that are allied with not just the parks and the open spaces, public spaces, but the public, people's cities. I lived on Staten Island, and I moved off, and shortly before they closed the temporary landfill. Fresh Kills was only supposed to be temporary, and it was temporary for like 40 years or so. So yeah, I understand that. So it's a major. So that's what it's about. So, no, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. Thank you, Emily, for taking the time to talk with me.
Yes,
I'm
thank
Kelly
you so
from
much,
netrootsradio.com.
Renner.
Hi, Renner. And I was just talking with people and just asking them what they want to be when they grow up and what drew them to the Sierra Club and how long you've been involved. And how long have you been involved? What do you want to be when you grow up, and what drew you to the Sierra Club?
Well, I've worked for the Sierra Club for 2.5 months now.
Oh, good.
So I'm fairly new.
got a lot of newbies.
That's good.
Before that, I was doing civil rights work with the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So what drew me to the Sierra Club was just kind of taking my activism to a next level and something that was kind of more campaign-based and less reactionary.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
The particular kind of civil rights work I was doing was a lot of just reacting to hate crimes, which was
it's
really
kind of like the ending.
Right.
Rather than, I think, no matter what, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I think the ADL and CARE should be working together because it's only a small step from anti-environmental to anti-Islamic to anti-Semitism because it slowly gets all mixed in together. So I think, so I think that's like really, because again, the environmental issues that are now coming up are more about allied within what's going on in the cities and infrastructure issues. So so keep talking.
What else am I supposed to say?
I don't know. What else do you want to say?
It was great meeting you.
Nate, nice meeting you.
To go.